Hello and welcome to Joy News. Today, we sincerely apologize for the late start of the news. We are your home of independent, fearless, incredible journalism. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, Shatawale and Medical granted 100,000 cedis bail. We have details from today's court proceedings. Anti-LGBTQ plus bill, key amongst several issues for consideration as Parliament as the House resumes sitting today after a long break. We'll take you live to the floor and we'll tell you what to expect on the first day of sitting. And the mad rush for employment in the security services by thousands of youth across the country.
Around 5:45. In fact, the time that I came here, I met about 300 to 500 candidates.
We'll tell you more on the ongoing Ghana Immigration Service recruitment process as thousands of applicants mass up at the various centers to be enlisted. And road policing to get better as police urges public to report officers who frustrate them on the highways without reason. How different would this be? We'll get talking with the police MTTD. Thanks for staying with us. Stay for the details. Now, sitting has resumed in Parliament today for the start of the third meeting of the first session of the 8th Parliament of this Fourth Republic. The House has been on recess for close to some 3 months now. Top of the agenda for consideration by the House is the much talked about anti-LGBTQ plus bill. The House has received over 100 memoranda from the public, largely impressing on it to consider the passage of the Proper Human, Sexual and Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021. A section of the public, however, is unhappy about the current state of the bill and is demanding, in particular, the decriminalization of activities of persons engaged in LGBTQ plus practices. Well, having resumed sitting today, members of Parliament are, among others, during this session, expected to determine the fate of the controversial bill. My colleague, Parker Wilson, is in Parliament for today's session and joins us live for some update. Parker, what's been happening on the floor of Parliament?
Okay, so Mamavi, Parliament just started sitting. Sitting commenced about 10 minutes ago, but shortly before that, we were at the press conference organized by the minority on the Energy Committee, where they raised serious concerns in their view about the recent fuel hikes and demanded that the taxes imposed on the petroleum products should be removed as the government prepares to submit the 2022 budget to a Parliament next month. And they made the point that it's untenable. If you look at the revenue increase within the country's oil sector, it's untenable for government to still maintain the prices. Ghanaians are already going through a lot of hardship. And so some of these taxes or the hikes in fuel prices would burden the already burdened Ghanaian. And then again, talked about the fact that though government says they do not control the world market prices, so there is little they can do with regards to the reduction of the fuel hikes. They say they will not accept that excuse from government. So the Speaker of Parliament just a while ago, Alban Babin, is the one in the seat today, and he is welcoming the members of the House. And as you mentioned, we know that the LGBT bill will be very instrumental in this particular setting. And many Ghanaians are expecting Parliament to pass this bill. In fact, they are really concerned about how the debate will pan out in the chamber when the committee is done with its work and finally submit the report to the plenary for the debate. So we will keep monitoring the activities in the House and keep our viewers posted.
Just before you go, Parker, do we know what's on the agenda for today's sitting?
Not yet. We do not have the order paper, but largely when Parliament resumes from sitting or reconvenes, what happens is that the Speaker welcomes them and cautions them, admonishes them to be present in the House because there are concerns about MPs' absenteeism. And it's one of the things that the Speaker of Parliament has been talking about over the years gone by. So one of the things he talks about is the members of the House being present in the House to execute the business of the day. And again, the minority will also welcome the members of the House. Then the majority leader will equally do so. And we are told that this particular meeting will be very interesting. The NDC would ensure, in fact, we've heard from them, they would ensure that they keep government on its toes and then the right things are being done for the good people of this country.
All right, Kwesi Parker-Wilson, we'll leave it here. He's reporting live from Parliament. I guess one of the other things that we'll be looking out for will be the price stabilization levy for the freezing for 2 months on those taxes on fuel. But let's stay with the subject of LGBTQ+ and the controversy, because the Federation of Muslim Women's Association in Ghana is expressing concern about the future of their male children if homosexuality is permitted in the country. Some members of the Federation are said to be withdrawing their children from the boarding house over fears of possible influence by their peers to engage in LGBTQ+ practices. The Ashanti Regional President of the Federation, Madam Birat Ahmed, has been speaking and impressing on the House to pass the bill as it resumes sitting.
We unanimously say no to the practice of LGBTQ in Ghana. It is against our faith and we stand against it.
No modern times exist for Allah, they say, and Allah is Allah and never changes. The Ashanti Region branch of the Federation of Muslim Women's Association in Ghana says they would show firmness to the word of Allah. According to the women, the word of Allah needs no update, and many years from now, the scripture will continue to speak against LGBTQ+.
We as Muslims follow the Quran and the Sunnah, and the Quran categorically cares the people who engage themselves in that. And the transgender and all that too is outrightly wrong in Islam for somebody to alter the creation of Allah. And this is categorically stated in Surah Al-Rum. So
as mothers who have given birth to children to procreate this world and see further generations come in, it is against our being as mothers. Traditionally, we don't support it. Religiously, we don't support it. And as mothers, we fear for the future of Ghana.
They say no compromise, no retreat, and they would continue to speak out against LGBTQ+.
But the children, we from work are concerned about the children, because they are some of them are at the boarding houses, and the problem is at the boarding houses. Even now, as I'm talking, some of the parents have been withdrawing their children from the boarding houses because they don't know what they are going to do at their dormitories.
Well, the Northeast Regional Chief Imam Alhaji Adam Nasamu Said is also impressing on members of Parliament in the region to vote in support of the anti-LGBTQ+ bill. According to the Imam, the region will not accept the practice of LGBTQ+ and all its related activities. He's therefore cautioning that any MP who stands against the passage of the bill would lose the support of the people.
The chief imam was speaking to Joy News on the sidelines of a graduation ceremony in Walewale. Our MPs, we are asking them to vote to reject the legalization of the practice and support the bill. Anything else is a betrayal, and we could withdraw our support for them. So reject it. We don't accept it.
Well, the church, as you know, has also been very loud in its advocacy for the passage of the anti-LGBTQ+ bill. The moderator of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, who doubles as chairman of the Christian Council of Ghana, Right Reverend Professor Joseph Obri Yabuamante, has been sharing his thoughts with Joy FM. He says if Parliament wants to touch the core content of the bill, then there must be a national referendum. He spoke with Pastor Atuakwa on the reason is Jesus last Sunday.
Almost all the ecumenical bodies in this country, Christian Council of Ghana, the Ghana Pentecostal Council, Pentecostal Charismatic Councils, and all those are people behind the bill. And then we also have other people who are not part of us, they're Muslims, and Christian leaders have come together. We have talked. We meet a lot on this particular bill. And the reason is, I want to state it again, that this particular issue isn't just about interpretation of law. It's about something that cuts through the soul and spirit of us as Ghanaians. About our definition of marriage, our definition of sex, a definition of gender, and so on and so forth. And that is why we seem to be very passionate about it. So if people have not spoken well, they should be forgiven. But this is the real reason. Some people think that it's just about legal interpretation. It is not just about legal interpretation. They are cutting our souls. They are cutting our spirits. It is hurting us, and that is why we have come up. And I'm saying that from all angles. The Christian churches have written bills, the political bodies have written submissions, to Parliament and so on. And we are also praying that by the time they sit down to look at it, things will come out positively. One of the things that I'm hoping for is, of course, we are not perfect, and the framers of the proposed bill are not perfect. That there may be areas where things may need to be polished, and that will be fine, but not to touch the core content of it. Yeah, if they want to touch the core content, let's do a national referendum.
You're watching Joy News today. Stay with us. We'll take a breather. Welcome back to Joy News today. Now, the Ghana Police Service is on a new drive to bring sanity onto Ghana's roads. A little over a minute, 1 minute video circulated by the service on social media shows a campaign to get the public to report officers who are found of frustrating and harassing motorists on the country's roads to a special unit dubbed Road Policing Complaint Desk. What exactly is that, and when was it created? Well, we will get talking to the police shortly, but first, let's take a look at the content of that video.
How far now? Everything nice. Madam, how far? Everything nice. The moment in painful, no. They say, the sun is scotch when I feel like something. I'm Kaka also. What are you doing? I'm a combra. Sissy and can you see? How hard you do? Eh? Start card by my over my press. Finance is back. Counter finance is back. Where's the shall we? That's fine. You triangle. Hey, I'll buy me. Oh, my main call. Just a minimum that why you was him trying. Oh, can't cry with air pollution. You can't cry.
Is the police frustrating you, abusing you, or extorting money from you? All you need to do is to call or send SMS to our Road Policing Complaints Hotline desk and tell us about your experience. You can also capture the incident and send the video or picture to our WhatsApp line. Remember, your feedback is always important to us.
This message was brought to you by the Public Affairs Directorate of the Ghana Police Service.
Well, let's talk to the Director of Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service, Superintendent Alexander Obeng. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us here on Joy News today. First of all, what's the objective of this campaign?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. First of all, I think this message and the campaign has been with us for some years now, and the intention that policing is a stakeholder concept. Therefore, police alone, police administration alone, PIPs alone, or police intelligence standard below cannot solve this problem. Yes. Other stakeholders out there, the clients, our public, have a bigger role to support us. And so in the process of coaching, some of these are used to encourage Ghanaians to give us feedback so that appropriate departmental officers can also ensure that there are.
I'll come to the risk of taking video or pictures of men in uniform doing something like this. But if I send you the video, what happens to the officer or officers involved?
Well, I think that normally, and we've been saying it, that when such information are given to us, the complaint desk officers are all over. And that's why we always have been saying that any time somebody is pulling a fast one or showing a gross misconduct in discipline towards any member of the general public, police professional bureau is their pitch to welcome their complaint and launch investigation into them. And when such investigations are exhausted, there have been instances that police officers that were found culpable were or will be go through certain laid down legal processes in the police service. Some are withdrawn. Some adjudicating officers who adjudicate, and in the end, there have been so many instances that many that were found guilty, among others, or were found to have misconducted themselves, have had their ranks reduced. Some have had received certain suspensions. Some have had their salaries slashed. Some have been dismissed. Some have also been punished one way or the other, as laid out in our laws, in order to change them among others. So,
okay.
Yes,
Superintendent Alexander Obeng, there is some sort of risk involved in attempting to take a video of an officer who is extorting money from you. What's the caution here? Because we've seen, some policemen resist anything like that in the past.
I think that any person who is committing crime will always attempt to, as it were, obstruct, as compared to somebody whose action or the manifestation of what they're doing will attract some commendation and certain praise from the general public. We are aware of that. And that's why we encourage the general public to ensure that in the process of also doing some of these things, they will ensure that they do it in a way that will not interfere with the person's delivery of public service where he's working. So there are so many ways that many members of the general public have been able to produce evidence that have guided or aided police in order to actually gather evidence to support the position and the decision of police that normally may lead or leads to completing the case and some going on suspension, as I said, some being dismissed, and some who media.
Just finally on this, do we as citizens get rewarded for bringing forward videos of the bad things, if you like, that some police officers are engaged in on the road? And the last thing is, how long would your investigations take before a police officer who is caught on video is punished?
One thing that we've been saying, that when such complaints are lodged, we will always be admonishing that persons will not feel discouraged, but assist police in exhausting the investigation process. At certain times, they abandon the process to the investigator or the adjudicating officer, and sometimes in the process, the people get exonerated. We encourage as many as well, and also depending on the case, there are instances that informant witnesses have been rewarded one way or the other. And there are also other instances that such information also are used in aiding the public police officer in settling the matter between one party and the other in a case of a misconduct and all that. But in the case of serious crimes and all that, such information will go a long way to assist the state investigator to determine who has done what and what. In certain instances, reward are placed on it and others are rewarded. So it depends on the nature of the complaint or the gravity of it,
right,
among others.
How long would your investigations take before we see officers who are caught on camera punished?
Sometimes, that's what I said, it sometimes depends on how the complainant will be forthcoming and all that. Sometimes within 30 days and sometimes beyond, depending on how parties involved will be forthcoming to assist with the investigation, and encourage the general public that justice may grind slowly, but if all of us put our shoulders behind it, it will ground faster, and therefore don't let anybody get discouraged. Let's avail ourselves when the investigator needs us, and such information when we also get will be treated confidentially to ensure that the fair, the due process is achieved and experienced by all parties involved.
We thank you, sir, for your time. That's Public Affairs Director of the Ghana Police Service, Superintendent Alexander Obing. Now, Health Services Workers Union have today declared an indefinite industrial action in protest of government's failure to improve their conditions of service. The strike is expected to take effect from Tuesday, October 26. At the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, members of the union have vacated their post and offices are under lock and key. My colleague has been there and has been interacting with the striking workers and some patients that were left stranded at the hospital. He joins us live for more. Michael Papani is joining us with some updates. What can you report?
Yeah, hello. So I was at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital earlier this morning, and some of the workers I'm interacting with are definitely not pleased about it. They told me the first draft of the conditions of service that were meeting was in 2016. Subsequently, they have tried to get government to approve the new conditions of service, but they've not been able to get that, and that is definitely not something they are pleased with. They made the comparison between the experience for which the government sees to the normal doctors and that of nurses as compared to them. They go as far as seeing themselves as menial workers, but essential workers within the hospital setup, and definitely not happy about how they are considered when it comes to matters like these.
Just quickly, what's the impact on patients?
Great. So for patients, I've been speaking to a couple of them, and some of them are coming from far and near, and they are trying to access just normal services. I went to the surgical unit at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. The situation was dire, as some of them have been sitting there for hours and nobody seems to be giving them any attention. The reason is simple, because the first point of call has to be the administrators, the folks that are the bookkeepers, and those that are also taking their oaths. So these two groups of people at the moment have vacated their posts, and that their folders cannot be processed, and for which again they cannot move on to go and see a specialist or a doctor, or they cannot go and have their surgeries if that is what they are there to do. So they are really not pleased about the situation. They tell me that they want something to be done, especially from government, because at the moment it sits at government for it to be considered before any solution will be in sight. So for patients, they've definitely not been happy about the situation. I want government to come to their aid as well.
All right, Michael Papani-Ashali, we'll leave it here. Also joining me is Caesar Bawa, chairman of the Kolibu chapter of the workers who are striking. Thank you so much for your time, sir. What exactly are you expecting from government?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us on Joy News today. I'm asking your expectations of government now that you've declared this action.
Thank you so much. And then good afternoon to your viewers and your listeners. My name is Nene Winfred Agbo, the regional chairman of Health Services Workers Union of Greater Accra region.
Thanks for the correction.
Yes. Our expectation today, we are being invited to Ministry of Labor and Employment. Our expectation is that whatever we put on paper for government to consider, we are expecting government to say that they have agreed with us and they are going to give us a roadmap to the time they are going to implement, how do you call it, the conditions of service for us. So this is what we are expecting. Anything other than that, then Aluta continues.
Are you calling off the action while you sit with government?
We are not calling off the action as of now. We are not.
So when you say better services, what exactly do you mean? Is it more salary?
No, we are not talking about more salary. We are talking about the conditions of service. There are certain allowances we need to be given. For example, we have other sister unions that they are collecting 40 gallons of fuel every month. And my sister, we are all working in the health sector. I'm working for almost 22 years now. I haven't collected even 1 gallon of fuel. Is it fair? Is it fair? We are working as a team. Others are enjoying and others are not enjoying. We are not happy.
Well, we will wait to hear the outcome of that meeting. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you so
That's
much.
the Greater Accra chairman of the Health Workers Union, who have declared an action, a strike, beginning today. Even though they are in talks with government, they say they are not calling off the action. You're watching Joy News today. Stay with us. We'll have to take you live to Parliament for some comments as the Speaker is welcoming the House back after some 3 months of break.
Will be presented this week. Another very important bill that will also be presented, and I want members to pay attention to that bill, is the Regions of Ghana Bill 2021. The Regions of Ghana Bill 2021 is another very important bill that is coming before the House. And so we are moving from 10 regions to 16 regions. And members should take particular interest in that bill. I can only call on members to expedite action on the bills pending before the various committees and to present him for action by the House. Honorable members, with this, I want to welcome all of you and to assure you that the Parliament is ready and prepared. The Parliamentary Service, led by the board, has taken a lot of quick decisions that are all meant to support members to perform their duties efficiently and effectively. I end by welcoming more focus and engagement of the public on the Parliament of Ghana. We welcome criticisms, but as you know, we welcome only constructive criticisms. We want Ghanaians to participate more in the work of the House, and the standing orders will create more opportunities for that to happen. We want members to support us to build Parliament, not to destroy Parliament. There has been a lot of goodwill, and it's for us members, in whatever we do, to showcase the image, the reputation of the House. With this, you are all welcome to the third meeting of the first session of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. I thank you so much for your attention. I'll give opportunity to the leaders to have their bite for and on behalf of their loyal troops. I think we'll start with the Minority Leader, Honorable Haruna Idrisu.
Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity and also use this opportunity to welcome you as Speaker and head of the organ of state, the Parliament of Ghana, to the third meeting of the first session of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana, and to wish you the very best as you seek in your endeavors to strengthen our Parliament, to make it more transparent and more accountable, and to work to improve the lot of the Ghanaian. And Mr. Speaker, in doing so, to use the opportunity to welcome colleagues, and in particular the Leader of Government Business and Majority Leader, and to the first and second Deputy Speaker, and trust that they would assist you to succeed as Speaker. So to my colleague members of Parliament, welcome back from the stress of the various interventions in your representative role in our various constituencies. And I believe, Mr. Speaker, we will reflect some of the concerns and problems and challenges in the various constituencies across the country on the floor of Parliament. But, Mr. Speaker, in doing so, there are a number of urgent matters of public interest and public concern. For instance, Mr. Speaker, the District Assembly Common Fund, which is a constitutional requirement under Article 252 of the 1992 Constitution, which requires that monies to the District Assembly Common Fund, Mr. Speaker, I'm quoting from Article 252, are paid by quarterly installments. And Mr. Speaker, as we speak, the Common Fund Secretariat has not released monies to MMDAs since the third quarter of 2020. I repeat, the third quarter of 2020. Not 2021. Yet we are told the economy is doing well when you are paralyzing the functionality of our decentralized local government system by the non-releases to the District Assembly Common Fund. And Mr. Speaker, this is a matter that the Minister for Local Government and the Minister of Finance, probably if it is above them, the President must ensure that he is not in breach of Article 252 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I received on your behalf, because at the time the leader was chairing the meeting, a petition from law students. And Mr. Speaker, there is an urgent call on this House, if the executive is failing in that respect, for us to have a legal education reform commission in Ghana to look at the future of legal education in Ghana and to make appropriate recommendation for the expansion of access to quality legal education by desirous and deserving Ghanaian students who want to be trained as lawyers and paralegals and to have an opportunity to deal with it. Mr. Speaker, whilst at it, I'm sure in welcoming us back, I want to take opportunity to congratulate my colleague, the Honorable Osaichi Mensah Bonsu, on his elevation to the high office of Vice Chair of the CPA, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. And Mr. Speaker, whilst congratulating him, to say without fear of contradiction that in the pursuit of foreign policy and parliamentary diplomacy that you lead, partisanship ends at the water's edge. And I announce with pride that it took me a second to consult with our able clerk, Cyril Nsia and Camilo Puaman, to constitute what became a Ghana campaign group to ensure that the Honorable Osaichi Mensah survived. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, he should have even gone unopposed. But for the machinations of democracy with time, when somebody's GMT became another person's country time, he had to go through. Mr. Speaker, I cannot be congratulating him without recognizing the role of the Right Honorable Justin B.N. Muturu, the Speaker of the House of Representatives of Kenya, Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu, who represents the East Africa CPA, and the Honorable Solomon Lechesa Chinole. They were very supportive of the Ghanaian support for the Honorable Osaichi Mensah. Mr. Speaker, we have also just witnessed election and approval of MMDCs across the country. And Mr. Speaker, we again witness an unacceptable dosage of police excesses in some areas in the country, unacceptable use of the police again in elections. And Mr. Speaker, we saw in the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly 77 votes after 63 assembly members took part in the process. Mr. Speaker, it's worth examining. And I'm reminding you, Mr. Speaker, that Article 45(2)(c) of the 1992 Constitution imposes an obligation on the Electoral Commission of Ghana to supervise, Mr. Speaker, I'm quoting, the Electoral Commission shall have the following functions: to conduct and supervise all public elections and referenda. I take it that public elections under Article 45(c) of the 1992 Constitution includes the approval of MMDCs under Article 243 of the Constitution.
And as you can see there, Haruna Idrisu, Minority Leader of Parliament, in his opening address as Parliament resumes sitting today. We will be back in Parliament, but stay with us. You're still watching Joy News Today. Well, in show business today, Shatta Wale will certainly be enjoying some freedom now as he is set to reunite with his family. This is after he was granted a 100,000 cedi bail. He was last week remanded into custody, but his lawyers this morning managed to secure bail for him. The story is same for musician Medical, who is also facing the law. Listen to Shatta Wale's lawyer address the press a bit earlier.
My clients, together with my great counsels, Chris Osei-Yeboah, Bobby Banson, Paul Abariga, and Nana Ose, aka Zastava. We put together a team of lawyers, and we were able to secure bail for Shatta Wale today. We're delighted that he will be united today with his family and friends today. So basically that's what happened today.
What were the conditions for the bail?
Shatta Wale was granted self-recognizance bail. And the other associates, the other 3 individuals in the matter, were also granted bail with one surety, a common surety being as a...
Mapito Sibidi of our entertainment desk joins me with a lot more because she was in court. Mapito, you were in court the first time when Shatta Wale was remanded. In fact, you were also in court the day Medical was also remanded. Tell us what the difference is going back to court today and the first time when they were both remanded.
All right, so let's start with Shatta Wale and his 3 accomplices. On Thursday, last week Thursday, Shatta Wale was dressed in all white. He was very excited to be there. He was chanting with his, charging up his fans that were calling for #free Shatta Wale. Today, the story was no different. He was dressed in all white, so were his 3 accomplices. But with this time, he had a green bandana over his head. As you can see, that there's someone who looks remorseful. He didn't have the same energy he had last week. And then when the ruling was made, when he walked out of the courtroom, Shatta Wale was not as happy, or he was not charging his fans up. He didn't even wave to any of his fans. So you could see that, he probably had some time to think about what he did and the things that he'd been saying. He's been, and another way you can say that he's been humbled, because he looked humble. He looked like someone who was just very calm.
Okay.
Yeah, calm. Yeah. Okay. Medical, from the beginning, his demeanor has always been very calm, inward, straight from the van to the courtroom. Mama V.
How did they exit?
So, as always, with a human fence, a police human fence, straight to the courtroom, straight to the van. Didn't look at his fans, didn't interact with any of his fans.
Let's concentrate on the fans because they made a lot of noise last Thursday.
Yeah.
What was the atmosphere like today?
They made even more noise because, King of the Shatta movement has been somewhat released, or he's been granted bail. So they were very excited. They were chanting. You even had some of them who were, making noise with their motorbikes. Yeah, and some who came with their cars, they were hooting all over. They were just very excited. Yeah.
But this is not over. When is the next court appearance?
The next court appearance is November 9, 2021.
Are they expected to report to the police frequently?
Yeah, so the argument that was made was that, these are family men. The 2 musicians are family men, and they should be allowed to go home, reunite with their families and see their children. But then, as and when they are needed, they should report themselves to the police.
Mapito Sibidi, great job following this story. Thank you. You're watching Joy News Today. We'll take you back to Parliament, where the Majority Leader is now addressing the House.
That any of us can raise our heads to
and beat our chests to say that Parliament performed well on that occasion. The Speaker, this meeting is programmed to be a very hectic one. There are many bills that are going to be submitted to the House. In total, we have 58 bills that are advertised, and that excludes the bills before the House already. And that is the private members' bill, the Speaker, the 3 private members' bills that you related to. I do know that some of them really are indicative bills, and it is to enable the various sponsoring ministers to engage the committees, the relevant committees, on the subject matter of the bills, so that into the next meeting, some good preparatory works would have been done, so that when they are introduced in the House, you have smooth passage in the House. The Speaker, the Parliament of Ghana, in respect of the promotion of proper human social rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021, as I indicated in some interviews before the House resumed, the Parliament of Ghana will do what is appropriate. After all, we are representatives of the good people of this country. The bill is before the appropriate committee, who have to digest and pour through the plethora of documents and memoranda submitted and listen to the sponsors of the bill in order to prepare and submit a credible report to this House. Mr. Speaker, the committee may decide to sit in public, and I believe that if the leadership of the committee decides to sit in public, the leadership of the House certainly would facilitate their sitting in public, just so that everybody will get to know what they are doing. The Speaker, the major decision that is taken when a bill comes before this House is at the second reading, where the sponsors of the bill move the motion for the second reading, and the committee that will